Good morning, comrades! Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the Nürburgring. And if I would have to pinpoint one thing that I was extremely excited about, but 2020 took away from me and 700 other people, it was definitely the unveiling of Rimac Nevera. And today, finally, the figurative covers are being taken off the production spec model, and I'm very excited to share the specs with you, because I'm pretty sure majority of you are going to ask me about the car, the specs, what I think of it. So I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it and also give some comments. Well, first of all, let's start with the name, Rimac Nevera. Previously, it was named Rimac C2, which was the concept name, and now it is Nevera. To elaborate on the name, I will read up the press release, which was written by Marta and her team, my ex-colleagues, because I'm pretty sure this is the best way to describe it. Named after a force of nature. Fittingly, the Nevera bears a proud Croatian name and one that truly reflects the prodigious performance the car can unleash in a blink of an eye. The name given by the locals to a quick, unexpected and mighty Mediterranean storm that races across the open sea of Croatia, a Nevera is extremely powerful and charged by lightning. Appearing with exceptional speed and potency, Rimac's next-generation hypercar shares the Nevera's name and looks, set to leave a similarly disruptive effect on the global hypercar market. And, like the force of nature it is named after, it is just as adept as transforming its character in an instant. From a short and comfortable Grand Tourer to ultra-focused performance machine. Now, I'll be honest with you, when the name was set in stone in the beginning of 2020, I did not know exactly what to think of it, but in the following weeks it started to grow and grow on me, and once I saw the similarities and understood the meaning of the name, it was absolutely, really fitting. I honestly find it a fitting name, but I would like to hear from you what you think of it, and if you don't exactly agree, just give it a few weeks time, and hopefully, just like with me, it will start growing you. Now, moving on to the probably what majority of many casual petrol heads, I would say, so find important, the numbers, the mind-blowing numbers. 0 to 60 miles per hour, or 0 to 100, almost 100 kilometers per hour, 1.85 seconds. 0 to 100 miles per hour, 4.3 seconds. 186 miles per hour or 300 kilometers per hour are being reached in 9.3 seconds. That is 2.5 seconds faster than initial targets, which were set in 2018. I remember before the Geneva of 2018 Geneva Motor Show, Mate Rimac, the founder and CEO, he posted some numbers on his Facebook page, and I'm like, dude, come on. And the majority of the world was back then like, this is mind-blowing, this is impossible, this cannot be. And guess what? 3 years later, it's even beyond that. And keep that in mind, that impossible is being made possible by Rimac, because I will later on go on one of other characteristic and a very special feature that I would like you to focus on or actually remember for the future. Moreover, the quarter mile is reached in 8.6 seconds. Now, according to the rumors, I believe one of the journalists who had a car for a test drive or was invited to a press event, he did it actually faster. And this underlines again the under-promising, over-delivering character of Rimac. And keep in mind that this was achieved on Michelin PS4S Pilot Sport 4S tire. By all means, the tire is very good. It's actually probably one of the best all-round tires there is available on the market. It offers great handling in dry, in wet. It offers continuous performance through various heat cycles if you're driving it on the track. It has a very good durability, longevity, and this is why this tire fits, well, basically is overall best tire. However, there are of course stickier tires on the market, but then again, if you make it more sticky, it will offer less performance in the dry. It will be also wear out faster. So if you would fit a more slick tire, and if you would put the car on an actual drag strip, because I'm not sure if those numbers were achieved on a drag strip, then you would definitely shave off some more tenths of a seconds, maybe even more, maybe half a second. Well, not from 0 to 100, you will not go sub 1 second, obviously, but towards those higher numbers, 0 to 300, it will most certainly go even faster. How do these numbers come to life? What generates those? The battery, the motors? Before proceeding to that, I want to talk about the design. And when you look for the first time at the Nevera, you might think, if you have the C2 in the back of your mind, like saying, you might be thinking like, so what's different? It's pretty much the same car. If you look at its silhouette, yes, the majority signature features are still the same, such as headlights. Of course, the signature feature, the cravat or the necktie, which you can find on the side of the car, which is also heritage to the Concept 1 hypercar. They're all the same, but the minor details, there's a lot of it has been redesigned, as mentioned also here from the press release. 34% improvement in aerodynamic efficiency over the early prototypes. Inlets and cooling channels have been painstakingly developed to increase the cooling efficiency of both the brake and powertrain systems, resulting in a 30% improvement at low speeds and 7% enhancement at high speeds. The front bonnet profile, underbody flap, rear diffuser, and wing can each move independently, driven by complex algorithms that provided the optimum aerodynamic configuration for every driving situation. Switching from high downforce to low drag mode reduces aerodynamic drag by 17.5% to create a 0.3 coefficient of drag. Changing back into high downforce mode increases downforce by 326%. Lots of numbers to take in. What I want to underline, again, as mentioned, the car differs tremendously from the initial C2 concept car. And more importantly, you have all these different numbers. You have high downforce, you have also the sleek, so to say, the Grand Tourer spec. And, however, the car combines everything at the same time in a very nice package. It offers high downforce numbers while still maintaining the sleek, elegant Grand Tourer look. It is also packed full with technology, something that I will get into later with the lidars, radars, cameras, but you don't see them on the car. But other cars, when they are having like massive downforce, they turn out to be ugly. And then you say, well, form over function, or actually function over form. But here, those things are actually go hand in hand combined. And this is a big compliment to the design team that I miss tremendously for doing the Cevapi Fridays with Adriano and everybody else. So moving on to the powertrain. And as mentioned, all those tremendous crazy numbers are being provided by the battery, which produces 1.4 megawatt of power. It is made of lithium manganese. I'm not an engineer, so I hope I pronounced it correctly, and nickel, which is a combination. Now, more importantly, it is an integral part of the monocoque. So it's not just like battery somewhere placed. It is placed underneath, and together, when it's bolted together with the monocoque, it offers 37% additional stiffness of the monocoque. It is also mounted very low, as mentioned in the bottom, which benefits the low central point of gravity and the excellent 48-52 front-to-rear weight distribution. I want to say that I had the chance and unique opportunity, thanks to Mate Rimac again, for allowing me to drive the early Mule, not even the prototype. It was a very raw car in March of 2020. Which was basically pretty much monocoque and the powertrain, a very low-powered version of a powertrain mounted to it. And what I could feel is, like, again, this low central point of gravity and a tremendous stiffness. And I will go on, I will remind you of that experience later on, but check it out in the video description. Driving that car already made me cry, so I cannot think of how actually driving the Nevera would feel like. Now, the battery powers 4 motors that together deliver 1914 horsepower and 2360 Newton meters of torque. The motors, by the way, are 97% efficient, whereas the traditional internal combustion engine is 40% efficient. This means because when you put the fuel in, the combustion happens, lots of energy is being lost in temperature and gases, etc. So only 40% of the energy which is transferred for fuel is being efficient, whereas with the electric motor, it is 97%. More importantly, what is being mentioned in the press release is that it's actually maintenance free throughout its life cycle, which is actually very good for the customers, because they're pretty certain there's going to be many questions like, what do I do with electric battery? Is there like maintenance, service, etc.? No, at least, well, the motors are service free. Now, don't want to mention any like the silly quotes, but with great power comes great responsibility. In this case, it comes from a Rimac all-wheel torque vectoring 2. Torque vectoring means where you distribute the torque individually to each wheel separately, not like from a traditional car where you have a mechanical differential or ELSD or other types of even like e-braking, which is complete nonsense. In terms of Rimac all-wheel torque vectoring, it distributes again all the torque to each wheel separately. It measures the grip, so to say, 100 times per second. It measures the characteristics of the wheel 100 times per second, and then it decides how much torque it needs transferred to it for optimal grip, or maybe even less grip if you are driving in a drift mode, something I will get into it later. Basically, this system replaces the traditional ESP and traction control, but what I want to mention is, again, going back to me driving this raw Mu prototype car last year in Serbia, was the car was developed from ground up, and the whole vehicle dynamics characteristics had to function perfectly without torque vectoring system. So you might be thinking like, the car only drives with so great because of torque vectoring. No, the base is already made close to perfection as possible to then later on help to give like this like next level extraterrestrial feeling of vehicle dynamics offered by torque vectoring. This offers also additional possibilities because you can create different driving modes. So whereas with conventional cars you have like sport, track, and individual or something, or comfort, here you have 7 modes. To be precise, it's more actually, I would say, 5 modes, because it's, let me see off the back of my head if I still remember them, range, comfort, track, sport, and drift, of course, for going sideways, and then 2 additional custom modes that you as a driver can pre-configure. So if you like to have more comfort, more downforce, but also be more drifty than sporty, then you play with sliders, and that system was already it was already possible on Concept 1. It's now significantly more redefined and refined for the Nevera, so you can go completely crazy with it. Now, final thing when it comes to with big power comes big responsibility is braking. So of course you have the traditional mechanical brakes, which are in form of 390 millimeter Brembo CCMR brakes, which are basically the carbon ceramic brakes with 6-piston calipers. But in addition, you have 300 kilowatt braking offered by electric motors. Of course, it's regeneration. So in the beginning, you would think that in the beginning it would offer regen of the when you start braking first, and then it will apply mechanical braking. However, the whole system has been developed to such an extent that it will decide based on the circumstances what will be used more. So for example, if your battery is overheated by regen, it will switch off regeneration completely. So regen system, it will only apply mechanical braking. Because for example, you've seen me driving multiple EVs on the track on the Nürburgring, and that is a big issue, that halfway through the lap the regen just overheats the battery and then it just like works contradictively. And alternatively, if your mechanical brakes are overheated for some reason, it will apply more braking force throughout the electric motors, and thereby offering like a very great like unknown level of braking control. So this is again something that I'm very much hoping to experience on track, because on straights, yeah, of course, that's great, but the track, and this is something that I will get into later, this will something that will so to say confirm all those characteristics, and if it is actually working or just a gimmick. But I'm sure it is working, knowing what the team has already achieved. Now, finally, or actually almost finally, there is one system that will be launched in 2020. It is so-called AI, Artificial Intelligent Driving Coach. Now, the driving coach, basically, of course, you know, from majority of sports cars and track cars, you have the telemetry-based functions, so showing you lap times, etc., etc. No, this system goes beyond that. And to make it functional, I need to read the press release again, because it comes with 12 ultrasonic sensors, 13 cameras, 6 radars, and the very latest NVIDIA Pegasus operating system. So all that combined, it scans the environment completely. It maps it all out. And in addition to that, yeah, I think I've been telling you too much, so I'm going to cut that part out and leave it out to its system unveiling. But what I want to say is, when I experienced and saw the system firsthand myself, my first question was like, this is impossible, this cannot be. And the second one is why? Why would you, with a relatively small team of manufacturers, dedicate a complete department to developing of such a system for only releasing in 150 cars? Of course, there is also possibility for future models and also potentially selling that technology to other manufacturers, but still, the costs in this stage, like even if big manufacturers couldn't come up or didn't decide to come up with such a system, why would you do that? So stay tuned for that. This is something that I'm extremely excited about, to see it actually come into completion in 2022. And the final thing, I think I covered pretty much all the things, is mentioning since this channel is related to the Nürburgring, this is where we are. I'm sure a majority of you are going to ask, so what's up, Nürburgring lap time? Is there going to be something happening? Well, you could have seen in previous videos when Nico Rosberg visited the facility, they were talking about Nürburgring Nordschleife simulation, but of course it could be have done only for simulation purposes, for development purposes. I know that test and development driver Mergut has been here at the Nürburgring 2 weeks ago, and it was not to eat some schnitzels because restaurants were closed anyway. So I'm sure there is some sort of Nürburgring activity will be planned at some point. I'm pretty certain of it. I mean, every self-respecting car manufacturer should do that. Now, will it achieve an impressive lap time? Of course, the car is capable of going, I would say, sub 7, but we should forget lap time here. What I'm more interested in it is actually car's continuous performance. If it can achieve lap time, or impressive lap time, by offering this tremendous amount of power, 1914 horsepower, 1.4 megawatt of power provided by the battery, without overheating, without going into limp mode, and without overheating the brakes, etc. and battery, if it shows that the car can do 1 lap, or maybe even 2, without doing those silly things what majority of EVs do, without modifying the model completely. If the production spec car can do it, that would be an achievement of its own. And moreover, going back to the driving coach, if the car could do a lap autonomously, that would be just it. That would be just like, I guess I'll be out of job as a driving instructor at the Nürburgring. Well, that's it for my rambling. I'm very much excited to see the model, or I've seen the car, but to drive the production spec car would be an absolute dream. Hopefully with Matt Rimac maybe next to me, because he's the world's worst passenger. Check out Nico Rosberg's video where he drove it. So taking him for a lap of the Nürburgring, that would be my absolute dream and goal. And that's pretty much it. The final thing that I want to say is that I made the video about this previously, or I tried making one, and then as I started editing it, I realized that my puppy Pancake chewed up the microphone and the audio was just very bad. No, hey, we don't do that. So in case I missed the deadline of the embargo, there's that. My dog ate my homework, or in this case, my puppy ate the microphone. Anyway, I'm starting to talk nonsense, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm extremely excited to see the cars getting delivered to their owners, and up until then, see you in tomorrow's video when we're going to be talking about the 24 hours of Nürburgring that I'll be driving this weekend. Bye-bye.